welcome to our latest of Charity Chats. I'm joined as usual by Catherine Ross-Jomji, Head of Charities at Shakespeare Martineau, and James Saunders, who's not Head of Charities at Moore Kingston Sis, but one of their leading charity specialists. And my name is Charles Mosquita. Now, I have lots of things I've been spotting in the press over the last couple of weeks. The first thing I thought we'd start with is the chair of the Charity Commission, Orlando Fraser's comments about in what circumstances is it okay to refuse a donation. What about you, Catherine? I think you should start from is it the must or the should? So the
exactly.
legal and what
I mean,
is.
Yeah, it's a big decision, but it is a possible decision. Any group of trustees may be saying, actually, we don't want the link, the connotation, the endorsement of the donor. If there's potential reputational damage, there may be very good reason why they want to decline to accept a donation. I think where this got a bit sloppy was, I think Orlando Fraser talked about it twice recently. And the first time he said, I think the word was frivolous, that it was frivolous decisions that trustees were taking to refuse donations, which sounded as though that was not carefully thought through, that they were just refusing it as a kind of flippant response. And actually a second commentary by him talked about personal squeamishness of trustees, which again, I thought, okay, slightly better language, because that's similar in a way, I think, to ethical investment decisions when it's not about one individual trustee's strong views, it's about the collective view of the board of trustees, whether they want to adopt something or not. And I think the same would be equally true in relation to declining a donation. But I think we are seeing, I don't know if we've come up with the charity washing, where individuals who want to improve their public perception will be, want to make a big donation to charity and have a press release from that. But I think maybe charities are being more aware of they're not going to be used in that way. But I don't think charities do, automatically turn down donations that they could very usefully spend that money and would be happy to take it. So I'm not quite sure where it came from. And I think there were some questions about, is this something that's happening at scale within the sector, or is this just one or two that have come to the attention of the Charity Commission?
What about you, James?
Yeah, I think we're in danger of having some waters muddied here. And even perhaps getting to the point similar to the Butler Schloss eventual case where trustees are saying, well, can we reject a donation that we don't agree with or we don't like? Should we? Must we? There are a lot of different words here about whether they can or not. Can, should, or must. So that, I think, if I was sitting on a board, I'd start to be thinking in the same way as the investment manager's question from a few months ago. Is there a point where are we going to be rejecting donations? Are we in the right, have we got the legal backing to do so? And I wouldn't be surprised if there was this legal question that came up quite soon about whether trustees have the right or the duty to reject certain ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it wasn't that long ago sitting in a trustee meeting where we've had a couple of companies wanting to give us money. We happen not to be a fundraiser. And there was a certain amount of question, one of how the company was going to use our name as the charity and what value was attached to that. And there was definitely a very big difference of opinion. And the second thing was the activity of the company. And one of this was whether this was a food producing company and whether it was producing junk food and we were relief of poverty or helping people in financial hardship. And so there was a whole lot of judgments. I have to say, I did sit on the side of, we should be taking the money because that's in the best interest of our beneficiaries. And I didn't see that the reputational damage bit. But the one bit I couldn't, I suppose, really get my head around was the value of it. But
presumably, Charles, your very example here is showing that there is an opinion. It's a matter of opinion, isn't it? You thought, as one of a group of trustees, of course, you can come to a consensus as a group of trustees, but it's a number of people's opinions, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and it was trying to remove people's personal views and actually doing what's in best interest of the charity. Actually, that quite neatly leads on, doesn't it, to I don't know whether you spotted in the press, but Hamish Ogston's Foundation, where there was an article in the Sunday Times about the millionaire founder of was trafficking women. Now, this was obviously, there was an allegation, there is an investigation, but there are a whole lot of charities that have been given money. I think from memory, National Trust was one of them, who something like 6.2 million, and had set up an apprenticeship scheme around it. And where I think, once an individual's given the money, it's an irrevocable gift. But Catherine, with that, it's a charity to a charity. So what should we be thinking about in that space? I mean,
yeah, that's when I get a bit more kind of screwing my face up. And we've seen this, I think, in previous years as well, where President's Club wanted to make a donation to Great Ormond Street. And again, so where it's charity to charity, I don't really think there's such a response that says it's reputational damage about the donor, because the donor is another charity. Now, if the donor to that charity is in question, I think that's still one more step removed, though, from the potential recipient of the charity, because the option is it can't be returned to the ultimate donor, because once it's given to charity, it is given to charity. There is no reversing that. So then I just see that's potential charitable funds that need to be allocated to a charity. Therefore, why not your charity? Why can't you use those funds to address your charitable activities and purposes, rather than refusing it in that circumstance? So that one, I think I take slightly different view when it's already landed into a charitable foundation, and it's that charity that then wants to make an onward donation.
Yeah, James.
I can see the legal and from with the accountant's hat on, the flow of money, if you like. Absolutely, there's one step removed, but even so, there will be plenty of people who will look at the source of it and say that's come from dirty money in the first place, and we don't want anything to do with it. So that's the other side, isn't it? If you know where it's come from, and you're not comfortable, and indeed it even goes against what your charity stands for, where the source of that money or where those funds have been generated, there's a big there's a big moral, ethical problem there.
But the bit, and I don't know this case at all the individuals concerned, so I'll just point that out. But this is trial by media, and you're guilty before you've had a chance to prove yourself innocent. And I don't know what the circumstances are behind this, but you are getting a reaction. And I think you can
take the media reaction out of it. Personally, I think that actually there's a bigger. The real question is for trustees who are looking at this and will have personal, and from their own charity perspective, from their own entity's perspective, there will be ethical, and moral questions about accepting money that was generated from illegal or amoral activities. I think that yes, there might well end up being a media question about it, but when all said and done, trustees sitting in a board meeting, when this is flagged to them, I can imagine that would really raise some hackles, I have to say. Yeah,
part of me thinks that for the National Trust, they probably should just sit it in escrow at the moment until due process. I do worry about. I mean, if you think about it, Kids Company, what brought them down? Well, it was some, as I understand it, some ex-employees making accusations about safeguarding, of which the became toxic, and then after a police investigation, they could find no evidence to those accusations. So I think one needs to just be very wary on that.
Yeah,
as far as
I thought taking his name off the scheme, I thought fine. Yeah. Actually, I thought that was a tweak. You keep the money, but we're not naming it after you anymore. But I thought that was as far as you needed to go.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. And I suppose that neatly leads on to, isn't it, Parks Run, where they didn't have a little bit of a reputational question around local politicians using their charity. James, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I found it interesting, not least because there was quite a swift resolution, I think, and it probably showed actually where things got sorted out quite quickly and without too much fuss in the end. It's probably an absolute disaster averted. Yeah, Park Run, their name was used, I think, or one of the recent by-election candidates used the Park Run Association in one of his ex's tweets, whatever, or something on Facebook, and put, "I've just been out for a run, vote for me," or something equally, crass. And the Charity Commission quite quickly got involved and said to Parkrun, you should be, as a charity, you shouldn't really be associating, using your or allowing your name to be associated with political campaigning, which inadvertently it had. I don't think there's any question that it was quite obvious that the candidate had lowest common, not quite lowest common denominator, but had certainly associated the Parkrun with his own campaign. And Parkrun put out an almost instant, we'll do our best not to let this happen. But I think, we spoke about this a little bit, and there's not much, I don't think there's much that Parkrun could have done to avoid this candidate doing it in the first place. I mean, other than say to people that please don't use our name for political campaigning. If they do it anyway, you're kind of, not much you can do.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because I didn't know whether the politician concerned had sort of said it was an innocent thing. I didn't realize I couldn't, which I didn't believe for a second. And I thought, again, this is blurring into the, taking credit for something that local or central government hasn't funded. So to say, look at this brilliant community activity, loads of people being healthy, taking exercise and having a sense of community and coming together, yet none of which is your doing, but you're happy just to take the platform, but not actually to support that. So for me, that was more, again, of the chipping away at stop taking credit for things that government has not paid for. It was not your doing.
I think everyone accepted it was a mistake, but of course, by then it's all been done, hasn't it? The politician has got the benefit of associating, even if they then say, "Oh, sorry, shouldn't have done it." Well, it's all water under the bridge then.
But the problem is, are we trying to say that no politician should open a fete, the village fete? I mean, that's sort of fairly run of the mill, or get involved with any local community organisation, many of which are charities. I think this is a very grey area. I suppose it was because they were campaigning, etc. But
it was a very close link. I think it was the here I am on Parkrun, vote for me. It was all in the same tweet. It was pretty tight.
But at no point had Parkrun actually said that they were endorsing the candidate. So I have to say, again, I think, otherwise you're going to find charities just sort of avoiding everything, which is not going to be healthy. And relationship with politicians is difficult enough as it is, with lack of understanding. That's just going to become even more so. It's a difficult one, isn't it? And so finally, have either of you done the trustee quiz? The 5 minutes, which we'll put a link up on the no, neither of you.
I haven't. I've shared it a lot. I've talked to clients about it. I've said it's a good thing and you should have a go.
Catherine, we know very well, don't we, that the only reason Charles is asking is because he has done it. So Charles, what did you get in it?
And what was your score? Yeah.
10 out of 10. No, I have to say, I thought it was I was a bit skeptical, but I thought, I'll give this a go. And the questions that they're asking, you would sort of expect it's around safeguarding and who's responsible for putting in the annual returns, conflicts of interest and stuff like that. But actually, it was quite fun to do it. And I think it's a really good idea. And part of me hopes that the Charity Commission will develop this further, because I think there's quite a lot of mileage there, and using it as a training tool that's fun. Actually, I thought that was quite good news.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good that they're using it in a different format. I mean, I know I've been doing trustee training sessions and then saying to them, you might want to take the quiz now, you test your knowledge, just getting people interested, isn't it? And accessible. I think that bite size, I mean, the guidance is fantastic often, but it can be too long. Whereas, quicker, shorter things, I think, can only be good.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're bringing back lots of TV quizzes, aren't they, at the moment? Wheel of Fortune's coming back and everything. So definitely quizzes is the topic of the week.
Well, I have to say, by the next time that we do one of these sessions, you two will have to declare what your scores were. I were expecting 10 out of 10. Anyway, thank you very much. I think it's an excellent session once again, and we will see everybody next time.